Good morning. It's Thursday the 25th of January. It's a really nice morning and I thought I'd get out and do an allotment tour before it gets too hot, because it is getting insanely hot at the moment. Yesterday was pushing 30 degrees. I think today is going to be up to about 33, 34. That's all a bit much for me. So I'll come up early to do what I can, and then if I melt in the afternoon, doesn't matter too much. The allotment's looking absolutely lovely. In fact, I would say that this week the allotment is looking the best it ever has. Lots to show you. Let's go around and have a butcher's. Actually, first of all, let's start with Buster's plum tree. There he is, Buster's plums. He missed them, poor little fella. I've given it a big prune. I've given it a big trim because I've been watching poor old Alan suffering over there. The light's all a bit in your face, but if you can see there, that is a very large cherry tree. It's about 20 foot high. He's having a nightmare keeping the pigeons off of it. He's put up netting, which is of limited effect because the tree's so big he can't actually get the netting all the way over the top. He can only guard it from certain angles. Now if you look just there, he's set up a little hide. He's used pallets, scaffold netting. He's got a little chair in there and he sits there with his rifle picking them off. He's quite successful actually. He does well at that. But seeing what he has to go through and looking at my lack of plums, I've decided I'm going to keep that tree a manageable size. I want to be able to get a net over it basically. My neighbours Eileen, 2 plots over that way, they've netted their cherry and plum trees and it does the trick. It really works. No chemicals involved, so it's a good option. I don't want to have to suffer like that. As tasty as pigeons are, it's a lot of work. I'd like to just be able to net that one over. And get this, I was really surprised when I was trimming this yesterday. Right, where are we? I found plums. There's 2. Where are they? Oh, don't say I cut them off. Do not say that I cut off the branch with the 2 plums on it. Or maybe the pigeons have been in already this morning. Ah, there they are. Sorry about the shadows. There we go. I might get some yet. Nice. Got loads of black currants at the moment. I'm not a huge fan of black currants. They're a bit sour for me to eat them raw. But they do make good jam. So basically I'm picking a couple of kilos to make 6 or 8 jars of jam. And the rest, the birds are quite welcome to them. An absolute ton of loganberries. Loads of them. They're everywhere. And they're delicious. To be honest, I've never got as far as making jam out of loganberries because they don't make it as far as the kitchen. But looking at the crop this year, and I'm going to put this year's abundance down to my comfrey tea. I think I will make some jam this year, maybe even some wine. Lots of pears coming through, don't know if you can see them. This tree's been in, I think this is its 3rd summer. I'm probably going to thin those out a bit. It's only a very young tree, so I'm going to take a few of the pears off and just go for a few nice big pears rather than lots of potentially quite small ones. That one's a conference. These strawberries down here are ones that I forgot about. I stuck them in and just left them and forgot about them, and they've done they've done a lot better than those ones over there under the cover that I've pampered. Don't know what that says, but worth noting. Oh, get my shadow out. Those carrots are coming along very well indeed. These carrots are just coming through. There you go, you can see little rows of them there. That's the way to do carrots, I think, successional planting. Here's the other pear tree. Now, I'm in half a mind to not take any fruit at all from this one, just let it grow. It's still a very young tree. Very spindly little thing. I think I might just leave one, because it's a variety that comes very highly recommended for flavour. It's a bit of a tender one. It might not do, it might not fruit every year if the weather's bad. But flavour-wise, it's highly recommended. It's either a Comis Doyen or a Doyen Comis. Oh, kite. Sorry, mate, I've got no pigeon carcasses for you today. Anyway, Comis Doyen or Doyen de Comis, one of the two. I think I might just leave one so I can see what they taste like. I'll do that. I'll choose the healthiest looking one and snip the other. There's not many on there. There's only 4. There's 4. I'll choose the best one, snip off the other 3. Just let it produce one nice example of a pear. Lots of stuff out for the pollinators this year. There's the old Afghani poppies. I've got teasel coming up all over the place. Well, coming up, I put them there, but loads of teasel. Bees and pollinators are loving that. Here's my main potato bed. You've got these lower ones, the smaller ones. That's 3 rows of Sarpomira. They're my main crops, which won't be ready until autumn. Now they're sold. Sarpomira are sold as a blight-resistant variety. Actually, in my experience over the last few years, I've found them to be pretty much blight-proof. And they make lovely, great big, not all great big, but you get some lovely, great big bakers in there, They're a great variety, and I've stuck with them for a few years now. They just don't seem to get blight. They're great. These ones here in the tub, they're pink fir apple, which are a really, really old heritage type variety. They're funny looking things, little knobbly long potatoes. Also, yeah, again, they're also a main crop, not ready until the autumn, but they're like a new potato. You treat them in the kitchen as a new potato, even though they're technically a main crop. They're nice little salad potatoes, that sort of thing. And they store so amazingly well. I've actually still got some of last year's ones in a crate in the shed, which are waiting to be eaten. They're absolutely fine. Not many potatoes last that long in storage. They're a great one for that. So if you're a bit of a prepper and you want to keep up supplies of very long-lasting food that you can keep over the winter, they're a really good option. These slightly bigger potatoes are my second earlies. They're Charlottes. You can see there's just a few flower in there, so they're going to be ready maybe 6 weeks or so. They're kind of midsummer potatoes, the second earlies. Got me sprouts in there. I know this bed has definitely got clubroot in it, which only affects your brassicas. So I've grown my brassicas all over here, as you can see, protected from the butterflies. I ended up having to put them here because I ran out of space, but I've dug in a good few handfuls of nice clean wood ash into each planting hole. They've been in 3 weeks now, and they're not showing any signs of clubroot. They're doing well, so fingers crossed that wood ash has done the trick. What else? Where are we? These are my first early potatoes. I've been harvesting them, they're ready. These ones that are still in the pots are only in the pots because I don't need them yet. There's no point pulling them all out at once and letting them dry out in a cupboard somewhere. Just take them as you need them. My onions. There's all my onions. They are well behind. They should have looked like this 2 or 3 months ago. 3 months ago probably. Yeah, we'll see how that goes this year. The problem was I was relying on using sets rather than seeds. lockdown kicked in, I couldn't get sets. I ended up having to order seeds online. They're my local variety actually, Bedfordshire Champion. I ended up having to order seeds online, and of course if you're growing from seed it takes so much longer than starting off with sets, and thus I am horrendously behind. I've got a bed prepared for them. They're going to go in over there behind my leeks at the front, onions at the back, and then it'll just be a bit of a race really before the wet onion rotting weather comes in the autumn. If it comes, it might not, doesn't every year. Get them in, it'll be a bit of a race to see whether or not they bulb up in time. The asparagus over there, I've finished harvesting that, so I'm now just letting it grow and re-energise ready for next year. There are pampered strawberries under here. I've mulched them with pine shavings. Does an excellent job of keeping the slugs off, which straw traditionally used does not. The netting's to keep the starlings and the pigeons off. The only problem I've had is ants. There have been a few ants about, but I've put down bait stations and it does seem to be working. I'm seeing far less of them, and I'm getting nice ripe strawberries without holes in them. That's good. Sweet corn's just starting to really fatten up and get its feet in and get moving. They're butternut squash that you can see interspersed between the sweet corn. Again, they've been in a few weeks, but they're only just in this hot weather really starting to take off. There's more sweet corn there. Now they're two different varieties, and with sweet corn you don't want them to cross-pollinate. If they cross-pollinate you end up with funny cobs. They're just not what they're supposed to be. They don't taste right, they don't look right. So I'm going to use some sheeting to just put up a little bit of a windbreak around each patch of sweet corn. It will stop them cross-pollinating, but the other benefit of that is we have such high winds here. You can see with the fence and everything, I've deliberately put stuff all along that side of the allotment just to keep the wind off. The wind here is so strong. The problem with sweet corn is they're not pollinated by insects, they're wind pollinated. They're basically a grass. They are just a very hybridized crossbred grass that we use as a cereal. And they're dependent on the male flowers at the top of the plant dropping their pollen and it falling down onto those stringy tassels that you get on the young cobs to fertilise those young cobs and allow them to turn into sweet corn. The wind is so strong that it just blows the pollen straight off the top of the male flowers at the top, and the pollen ends up over here somewhere when it wants to be down there on the cobs. So by shielding their pollen from each other, I'm stopping any cross-pollination, and also I'm keeping the wind off and improving their own required pollination. I've done it previous years, it does work. I've just got to set up a bit of a windbreak out of, I'll probably use the old plastic weed membrane stuff. I've got a bit of that, so that'll do the trick. Right. Pollinators are loving that. Foxgloves, poppies, cornflowers, daisies, aquilegia, teasel, got the lot. They're really enjoying that. And yesterday I just planted a few more young foxgloves here and there, ready for next year, because they'll spend this summer, they call it rosetting, they'll form a rosette on the ground, and then next summer they'll send up their flower spike and look like this kind of thing. Pleasing, I'm sure you'll say. I've got some potatoes there I'm going to harvest today. Actually, let me just kick that over and show you. Have a look. Oh, impromptu potato reveal. Let's see what we've got. Sorry while I just bash this up a bit. Oh yeah. There you go. They are beautiful as well. Lovely, soft, creamy new potatoes. Just lately, my favourite meal has been seared pigeon breast, fresh new potatoes, fresh peas and mint with butter on. That has been my favourite meal the last couple of weeks. There's the pigeon trap. I've been keeping the pigeon trap closed actually in this hot weather. Now, if I'm leaving here at 6 o'clock in the evening and not coming back until 8 o'clock the next morning, I don't like having a pigeon trapped in that sort of heat. So I've been going home and leaving the trap closed while we've got this intense heat going on. What I'm going to do is, I've also got, if you can see that wire cage there, I'm going to use that to build a JJR inspired deadfall trap. And I'm going to put them both somewhere nice and sheltered and shaded, somewhere in amongst this lot along here. And that way, if I catch a pigeon, it's not going to be forced to sit in the blistering heat for hours until I come and deal with it. I looked it up on DEFRA as well. Now, I've got a dish of water in there because DEFRA do say that you're supposed to leave water in a trap if you're catching pigeons. The sledgehammer, by the way, is nothing to do with catching pigeons. Put that thought out of your mind. I just left it sitting there yesterday. Right. Oh yeah, fig tree. Loads of figs, actually. I really hope they come to something this year. All my salads doing nicely. My zunas and lettuces, I've been harvesting them for a while now. Hanging up there you can see my garlic, which I harvested on the solstice, on the longest day of the year. That's the tradition, plant it on the shortest day. What's that, 22nd of December-ish. Harvest it on the longest day, which was just a few days ago. And they're lovely, as always. I always seem to do well here with asparagus, with garlic, not sure why, just seems to like it. Tomatoes are slow, but they're coming through now. The heat's making them pick up a bit. They sat there for a while doing not very much, but they're starting to climb up their canes now. That one there's doing particularly well. Right, let's have a quick look in the greenhouse. Oh, these are all shallots, shadow. These are all shallots. Same situation as the onions, they're just behind. I'm waiting for them to bulk up a little bit before I put them out. Loads of teasel there. We've got a lot of finches, they'll appreciate that. And in the greenhouse, my peppers are, again, same as the tomatoes, finally starting to get their way on a bit. There's a couple of basil there as well. And then down here, my cucumbers are doing really nicely now. Cucumbers are all coming through. The plastic buckets there, that's a mouse deterrent, because I did find that mice like cucumber plant juice. And what they do is they come in and nibble off the stem at the bottom. It all starts seeping this nice cucumbery flavoured water, and they love it. They just sit there lapping it up. That's happened in previous years. It's not happened this year. Whether or not that's because I've got no mice, which I think is probably likely, or it's the buckets working. Either way, I've still got nice cucumbers. I've got 2 spare cucumbers there. I always have a couple put aside just in case. I think these are okay now. These are good to go. So the 2 spares won't be required. Got a few spare chilies there. I have to find somebody who wants them. Sorry, not chilies, sweet peppers. Right. Lovely day. How blue is that sky? There you go. That's the allotment looking about the best I think it ever has. And I'm going to keep a note of this video because it will be nice to look at it next year at the same time and see how things compare. Back at work next week. Furlough's finishing. That's scary. So, I'm going to enjoy this while I can. Take care. See you later.